A legislature passes a bill to fix a specific issue, and the moment it hits the real world, it triggers a cascade of unexpected problems, and the fallout rarely hits evenly. When a policy breaks down, the cost lands directly on people with the least margin for error, the most vulnerable groups in society. So what if lawmakers could stress test legislation before it ever leaves the draft stage? What if they could apply the exact same engineering precision used to test an aircraft wing directly to a legal framework? That methodology exists. It's called FMEA, Failure Mode and Effects Analysis. It was developed decades ago for aerospace and manufacturing, where failure means catastrophe. The core principle is proactive foresight. You don't wait for the engine to break in midair. You systematically map out every conceivable way a component could fail before the product ever reaches the assembly line. If we apply that level of mathematical rigor to ensure a jet engine keeps running, we can apply that exact same logic to ensure a law doesn't fail its citizens. Traditional FMEA calculates risk by multiplying severity, likelihood, and detectability to generate a risk priority number, or RPN. High RPN means danger. But translating this to government is hard. You can detect a faulty valve, but you cannot easily detect systemic unfairness in society. With public policy, by the time you detect a flaw, the human harm has already occurred. Someone has already lost their home or their income or their civil rights. Standard engineering logic is simply too late for lawmaking. To make this tool work for governance, the equation has to shift its focus from catching mechanical glitches to predicting human costs. The adapted framework, policy, and legal FMEA makes one crucial swap. Detectability is out, affectability is in. This measures human impact by calculating two things: how broad a population is hurt by a policy failure, and how vulnerable that demographic is to the harm. Severity, likelihood, and effectability are each scored on a 1 to 10 scale. Multiply them together, and the maximum possible risk priority number tops out at 1,000. Assigning a severity score to social harm isn't left up to one politician in a vacuum. It requires a consensus. You bring in diverse panels of economists, legal experts, and community advocates to evaluate the real-world impact. Affectability operates as an embedded moral compass. It forces lawmakers to explicitly calculate fairness before a bill becomes law. Let's look at a hypothetical case study to see how this works in practice. Imagine a Freelancer Worker Tax Incentive Act in India. The intention is good: offer tax breaks to help formalize the growing gig economy. But the initial draft contained a massive oversight. To qualify for those tax breaks, a freelancer had to prove their income using strictly digital invoices. When a PL-FMEA panel runs this draft through their stress test, they immediately flag that requirement. Mandating digital proof ignores the reality of India's massive informal economy, where millions of artisans and rural workers operate almost exclusively in cash. Here is how the math breaks down: a high severity score of 7 for economic exclusion, a likelihood of 8 because the cash economy is persistent, and a massive affectability score of 9, specifically hitting vulnerable rural workers. That RPN of 504 serves as a calculated warning. It indicates that the policy, as written, is likely to deepen inequality for the very people it was supposed to support. Faced with that quantifiable risk, lawmakers are forced to amend the act. Instead of demanding digital-only proof, they rewrite the rules to accept verified physical cash receipts and bank deposit slips. By highlighting the exact point of failure, the score transformed a rigid, exclusionary mandate into a genuinely supportive policy, bringing millions of vulnerable workers back into the fold. Audit teams also apply this framework to legislation already on the books. Take the real-world audit of India's 1970 Patent Act. For decades, the law allowed examiners the discretionary power to demand full, physical working prototypes of new inventions from applicants. This chart shows the results of a PL-FMEA audit on that rule. It identified two systemic risks. First, arbitrary examiner discretion scored an RPN of 336. Second, the severe financial barrier on startups scored an RPN of 210. Guided by those numbers, lawmakers proposed updating the system to a digital-first standard. Modern computer-aided design files became the default, and physical prototypes were restricted to only the most extreme, highly justified exceptions. These risk scores provided the specific, data-informed evidence needed to advocate for under-resourced innovators. Implementing this process requires serious friction. It takes time, it slows down the legislative cycle, and it demands intense interdisciplinary coordination across different branches of government. But those upfront costs are completely dwarfed by the massive financial and social savings of catching a structural flaw early. Fixing a broken law after it's rolled out is deeply expensive and disruptive. Designing it correctly in the first place is efficient. Ultimately, PLFMEA is an operational shift. It moves government from reactive crisis management toward proactive foresight. Imagine a future where every piece of major legislation must publish its societal risk score, making equity a formal requirement of the drafting process. It would ensure our legal systems are built to succeed from the start.